Hello everyone, this is Dan Gramza, and welcome to Gramza Market Studies for Tuesday, December 8th. Well, let's get started here with that NASDAQ market. And one of the things we are looking for is the possibility of buyers coming back into this market. I know it's bearish. I know the structure we're seeing is bearish. In the NASDAQ market, we found sellers at higher prices. And indeed, yesterday's action, sellers came in here. But I think the issue for us is how they came in. Look at some of these other indices. You're seeing shadows on the bottom in the S&P, the Dow, and also even the mid caps. So did sellers come in yesterday? Yes. So did these sellers follow through? To an extent they did, but they're still maintaining some fairly strong references here to the downside. So what would be critical? It's critical is that we start seeing some follow through. We need commitment if indeed this market's going to give us a push back to the upside. And as I mentioned before, I didn't think Monday would be the critical day. It's going to be Tuesday and Wednesday that we need to see some action. So that's what we're looking for today. It is, again, structurally, it's a down market. I think based upon its overall levels that we're seeing here, I'm looking for unchanged to higher. Now let's take a look at how the currencies reacted today. We had big moves there in those markets, and what we were looking for was kind of a rest day. And that's really what we had across the board in these markets. I think the next critical step for us, though, is that these levels where we found buyers before, I think we're finding them again. And what am I looking for across the board in all these currencies? I'm looking for an up move in these markets. We're already seeing the Japanese yen starting to firm up a little bit. Same thing with the Canadian dollar. I think we may, if the right things happen today fundamentally, I think this market is positioned for moving higher. In other words, what would that mean? That would mean a weaker dollar in today's action. Metals. Well, before we do metals, we haven't done the interest rates. So let's do those guys next. The short end of the curve, the 90-day paper, euro-dollar interest rate markets, talk about a bouncy market. As those buyers came in, they continued. We see them pushing themselves right back up. They're at a critical level. And if we can get through above these previous highs, which are benchmark candle highs, for me, I think we have a chance for another push back up. Even the notes and the bonds, as I mentioned before, that I think we have to be cautious on the downside for these markets. We're seeing a little bit of buying coming in here, but if that's true, and the notes and bonds, again, today and tomorrow are going to be important. If indeed this is true, we need to see unchanged to higher in today's action. Now let's take a look at those metals markets. Gold got low enough, and as we talked about before, I think a lot of buying down here. Same thing in silver. I don't think these are layup trades, as I mentioned yesterday. I think that the action that we're seeing is representative of the type of behavior we would expect given the overall structure of this market. So in the metals, what are we looking for across the board in all these is unchanged to higher in today's action. We're looking for buyers also to come back into the metals markets. And in energy, well, crude oil has gotten soft. And what we're looking for in that market, we got to get above 76 if we're going to think about that as a buying opportunity. Right now, we're looking for continued weakness in that market, but again, not a big move. But today's action is kind of critical. If we do rally back up, that sets a very bullish tone for that market. Natural gas, I mentioned before, follow through has been the lacking parameter, and it looks like we're getting it. We're seeing some follow through in yesterday's action. Today we're looking for a relatively quiet day in that market. Now let's take a look at those grains. Beans, can we get follow through in that market? I think across the board, because of where we're located, because of the type of price behavior we're seeing at these levels, again, from the short side, I would be very cautious. And what are we looking for in beans? We're looking for an up day, but not an easy day. I mean, there's a lot of work to be done if these markets are going to rally. See a lot of shadows up here, and those are challenges for those markets to get a real strong head of steam going. But today could be a critical step in that direction. So even though this market has come off all of these, I'm looking for an up day across the board in those markets as well. Well, this concludes today's market studies. I hope you found a few ideas helpful, and I'm looking forward to being with you again tomorrow. And in the meantime, take care.